Oh, excuse me. Hello. Hello, hello. This will just be a general chat. Firstly, because I want to just address a subscriber, and secondly, talk about the next cooking video I'm going to upload on Humanimal channel, and then I just want to have a true crime chat and just get a small thing off my chest, I guess. This is Australia. There is a fly buzzing around in this house somewhere, you know. It's driving me nuts. Hopefully you can't hear it. Okay, so this is probably a very strange time of day to go live. I don't know if because it's during a work day in Australia. It's goodness knows what time anywhere overseas, but it doesn't matter. It's just to save me recording a video and then going through the upload process. And I don't really have anything prepared as per the usual, but I just wanted to say to Humanimal channel viewers, subscribers, supporters, could we please look out for our friend Betsy B? So Betsy was thrust into sort of this other dimension the other day, just out of the blue, taken out of our universe and just placed into another universe. It's so shocking to lose someone really suddenly and really prematurely. And Betsy's husband, Michael, suffered a heart attack, and he since passed away from bleeding in his brain. And I hope it's all right with Betsy that I do just mention this. I don't want it to go unacknowledged. I have terrible social skills and anxiety, and I never say the right thing or know what to do. Quite often I ignore things, but this can't go unsaid, that any love and support that we can offer Betsy B when we see her, any genuine sympathy. I mean, it's very hard to say the right things, but some of you have been in the same position as Betsy, and you have lost your partners, and you do know what it's like. So, you know, you can probably offer a lot better words than I can, but Betsy, you know, I'm just so sorry about Michael. Michael's my age, 52, and that is so young, and that would have been such a shock. And Betsy has written here that, you know, she tried CPR and she did have hope for some time when Michael was taken to a hospital that he was going to be all right, but it's the secondary situation of Michael having bleeding in his brain that has actually caused him to pass away. So yeah, just thinking of you, and you know, it must be hard to be awake, you know, and it must be hard when you wake up to realize, you know, what new reality is for you now. And yeah, it's very tragic. It's very tragic for you know, yeah, just the world just to stop like that. And yeah, I hope you're doing okay, Betsy, and please pop in here at any time. And yeah, if everybody could be kindly aware of that, and yeah, that'd be lovely. Yeah. So frivolously moving on to the next topic. So I'm going to do another cooking video, and apparently I have to cook something that is a new, like a recipe, and actually follow a recipe. So this is something that I never do. This is going to be the most challenging thing. Oops. But I got a care parcel from a friend that just visited Italy recently. This was amongst some things that she sent, and it's lemon infused olive oil. So, you know, this is the real deal from Italia. And so I thought, well, let's be inspired by that. And she also sent me some more of my favorite Celtic sea salt, which is just divine. I can't describe how yummy this salt is. And so I thought, well, let's be inspired by that. So, of course, I've chosen something that is very controversial, and I'll explain why. So, in Australia, down in our nether regions, in Tasmania, so off the shores of Tasmania, there are salmon farms, mainly by a group called Tassel, and there's probably others, you know, there'll be heaps actually. And it's a bit of bone of contention with locals and everything there. I mean, it's an amazing industry. It's an international industry. You know, it does affect the GDP of Australia and the lifestyle of people that live in Tasmania and work in the industry. And they do produce a really amazing product. But where you have fishing and things like that, of course, they're out in the ocean creating these big enclosures in the ocean, and there's the feed going in there and all the fish in there together. And, you know, people are really concerned about the state that it leaves the inner oceans and the harbors, pollution, things like that. You know, I feel like, well, maybe you should just be worrying about the Commonwealth Bank and the old forests that they're cutting down hectare by hectare every fucking minute, rather than worrying about a more sustainable industry. But anywho, so I thought, well, that can be some inspiration, because I'll be able to go to the market. There's a market coming up that I can go to where I'm not saying I'm going to get tassel fish, but I'm going to get actually probably some wild caught salmon. And I'm going to make this dish here, I think. And it is roasted fillet of salmon. I mean, this sounds pretty basic, doesn't it? This book is Wild Water and Wood Smoke. It's celebrating 25 years of salmon farming. Okay, I understand how triggering this is for people. I'm not trying to be insensitive about the environment or anything like that. But I guess, you know, people have different views and everything. Forward by Pete Evans, who's our famous paleo chef, I guess, and he's quite divisive as well, actually gets himself into a lot of trouble. So these recipes have been, what would you say, curated, edited into this book. There's information on the fish itself and how to prepare it and what goes beautifully with it, different cooking methods and things, and then there's recipes from different restaurants, and I can't even read that. I think it's Port Phillip Estate, Red Hill South in Victoria. It's a recipe by Simon West. And I mean, there were a few crispy skin recipes here, A lot of them looking really interesting, and actually some where you can cure the salmon. I'm thinking maybe if I could, I might even choose 2 recipes to do at the same time, because the other one I couldn't choose between was, sorry, now I've lost my page. The first one, this is riveting, isn't it? Hang in there if you want. The other one I want to do, I think I'll do, is baked salmon dish by Serge Danseri. I can't even read that. From a restaurant that's at the Bathers Pavilion in Sydney, New South Wales. And they both look delicious and have things that, yeah, I'll probably, be able to eat, and ingredients that aren't, going to be really difficult to source. So this roasted salmon, it's got this really interesting looking side dish. And it needs the beautiful lemon olive oil, but there's a bed of kind of like this bed of mash, but it's actually potato with cauliflower, and it's got lots and lots of milk in it. I'm going to quarter this recipe, of course. It says use 1 liter of milk. Well, yeah, so I'm not going to make that much. And then there's a little something or other on top of that, a little really interesting salad that's got tiny, finely chopped grapes and avocado. I think, anyway, it's a bit, I can't read in the dim light. And it's got anchovies and just parsley and everything. It just flavors, that seem really intriguing and interesting to combine. And then the baked salmon is just really basic. It's also potatoes, so I wouldn't have to have, yet another vegetable. And again, yeah, cream and parsley and things like that. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So that was that. True crime. I mean, do you notice that people are so willing just to produce slick videos talking about what they believe to be true in the case of, say, Idaho 4, but let's talk particularly Delphi murders, and never mind what they have said with such conviction in the past and why, and the amount of people that they've dragged along in their slipstream, believing them because they are being so believable, and it's just a cycle that happens over and over again. And you just think, why is it that people cannot just wait and see? Just report. Don't sensationalize. Just report. Don't wildly speculate. But not only that, not only wildly speculate, don't make it into a video where you are putting graphics and timelines and adding in details that are not even confirmed, as if it is fucking fact. And so you just creating this little movement behind you, which is what they want to do, have this following thinking that they are talking to the person that is the leader, the holy grail, the one with the knowledge, with the idea, and they grasp onto it, and it takes a whole lot of people along for the ride. And whoopsie doodle, when it all turns out just to be conjecture and falsity and assumption, no harm done, do they think? So currently at the moment, there's so much impatience, isn't there? And currently at the moment, we've got, people are saying, and this isn't just social media, this is mainstream media, which makes it even worse. Richard Allen has confessed to killing Abby and Libby. No, that's not even what was said in court. Richard Allen made some confessions. To what? To whom? I mean, look, if you think that there's not 90% chance that he's guilty and that he's a lone wolf, I mean, you're delusional. You're not. But, I mean, because, as I've said so many times since his arrest, he's not pushing for a speedy trial. So he's giving prosecution. He's quite happy to give prosecution months, a year, maybe in total. We never know when trials are really going to go ahead. He's happy to give them plenty of time to work towards nailing his ass. In his letter that was released, going, please, sir, can you have some mercy? He doesn't say, I'm an innocent man in your jail. Well, I understand due process is going to go on. You need to treat me with more regard. He doesn't say that. He doesn't mention his innocence. He's just throwing himself on the mercy of the judge, right? He's acting like so many other killers have before him. If indeed he is a killer, he's acting just like so many of them do, like a little slimy, whiny weasel, okay? Manipulative to the core, disregard completely for the victims suffering, no regard for them, no mention of that, any pain that they've caused at all, but just... oh, look at me, I'm shriveling. They all turn up in wheelchairs or hunched over using canes. Some of them come into court and they've got their oxygen masks on and things like that, and they turn big and strong again in prison, though, after they're convicted. I mean, honestly, he's acting like your typical murderous weasel. But anywho, the thing is, we don't know. We don't know who. We don't know if these so-called confessions, what they say. Is it just saying, yes, okay, yeah, look, that was me on the bridge. And okay, I do admit that I saw Abby and Libby. That could be what he said. And we don't know if that is in any content, in anything he's written to a warden. We don't know if that is in any content of a phone call to his wife, Kathy. It might be. I mean, it's possibly in something that he's written using a court or prison supplied tablet, though, right? Because they're very keen to make sure that Richard Allen isn't out of pocket for any communication devices. He's putting on a poor me act. It's more than 50%, right, chance that he's just acting like a schmuck. I mean, he's been perfectly fine, right, up until now. And then he's on a hunger strike some days and refusing to exercise on some days. And the prison would normally charge $250 for a tablet, and Richard Allen's thrown a wobbly and he's broken this tablet, but they're keen to keep him talking. They're keen to see what he is saying. So possibly he has said something to somebody in communicado using the tablet, hence why they might be so keen just to replace it free of charge, because they want to keep those lines of communication open and keep those subjects rolling. But we don't know. Has he said something to his lawyers? We don't know. You don't know yet. So why are videos being made nailing things down, right? Look, I mean, hi, Swimming with Sharks. Swimming with Sharks says, I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks Richard Allen is putting on the Poor Me Act, and also says, no psychosis in the 5.5 years before his arrest, and now, of course, he looks like he's mentally losing his mind. I mean, this is the thing, though. We don't know what frame of mind he was in to murder. He could have been under the influence of drugs and alcohol. You can have alcohol-induced psychosis. He could have been just expressing something. A lot of murderers say, look, I've been fantasizing about this since I was 14, and now they're 30 and they're 40, and that's when they begin to actually carry out their fantasies. They just can't hold it in any longer. And that could well be Richard Allen. He could be innocent. This to me does not seem like the type of, sorry, playing with my hair so much. This does not seem to me like the type of crime that someone commits with a partner. I know that partnerships do exist in crime, and I'm not talking about organized crime, but I'm thinking of these poor, tormented women like Cassidy Rainwater, who got into the clutches of a couple of really evil degenerates who also had a connection, network with people on, I think, the dark web or whatever. They kidnapped her, and I believe others. I think I just don't want to say the wrong thing here, but that they got her onto the property that they were on false pretenses, I believe. They held her captive. They've tortured her. They've filmed her being tortured and being abused. They have eventually killed her. They have dismembered her. They have, I think, eaten her or, cannibalized her. And a lot of this has gone on to the dark web. And there are acts like that. There are often a husband and wife act where the wife is not only knowing with guilt knowledge, or guilty knowledge as I prefer to say, but are active participants in some manner, either capturing the people by, being part of a ruse, or they just help, keep someone captive. They sometimes torture. Maybe they're just in the background there. Maybe, they're just absolutely controlled by their partner. But sometimes they're complicit and sometimes they're murderous. There are murderous couples, on all continents. There's the UK couple that would take young children out to the moors and murder them. And that was a young woman and her boyfriend, Hi, Johnny. Johnny says, I agree, Humanimal. We don't know, so why are they creating fake info on Delphi? I think to corrupt the minds of people before the trial. Well, that's what they're going to do. They're just derailing people's thoughts on the case before they've even got any real information. There's also a lot of, now these will be coming from Melvin, from JM, because you can hear her in the recordings, and I mean, the woman just can't help herself. It's people talking about, the McCains, for example, Dan and David McCain. They can't, there's one woman on this recording that just can't get it straight. And all they are, they're just, they think they're detectives and investigators, and they just come across as busybodies and big mouths, probably like I am now, right? But they can't even get it straight between David and Dan and who's here and what, and they're trying to debate the timeline and everything. There's nothing new on there. They don't help anybody. It just confuses people. It's arcing people up for some reason. What is the point? What are people trying to say by releasing this nothingness? But what was the other thing? So, putting out, saying that Richard Allen has confessed. They're talking about, they're being very definitive about, Yeah, all sorts of things, and just building these whole scenarios around it. But they're presenting it to their listeners as if it's fact. And then they're probably getting their noses out of joint when they're being called out on it. It's like, well, actually, maybe you should make it a bit more clear that this is still wild speculation. But everyone's going, oh man. And then others are just absolutely convincing people that Richard Allen is innocent, or, people that could not give a damn about the people that they've accused. So, okay, Daniel Pearson, to the people that have been, and I'm not just talking about someone like me or the millions of other people that put YouTube videos up just discussing cases as they go, reacting to things. I'm not talking about people that just say, what do you think? Do you think this is possible? This person was there. Would this fit? How would it fit? But no. See, the whole shtick is that they make these videos telling people that this is fact, that they believe it. They're very convincing. They want people investing in it, right? And they get a following for this, and then they do it again and again. And I don't know who that is, Kyrie. And, but now the whole shtick is, how dare you, be convinced that Richard Allen, he's only just arrested, he's innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, sure. Do you think they're going to arrest him? Now it's just fodder. Do you realize they just want fodder? They want content. And the way you create content, the way they're creating content is to decide to take a stance, right? Whether they really care for it or not, whether they even really believe it. It's just they love it because it just gives them another 90 hours of YouTube time, right? So these people that accuse Kelsey German, they don't treat her as if, I think Kelsey might be involved, but, innocent until proven guilty, so we'll just wait and see. So far, all I've got to go on is the fact that I don't like her because, trauma, I don't like the way trauma has, I don't like the things that the family say. That's what I'm going on. But now that there's a legitimate person, maybe just because he was never on their radar, maybe because, for all the genius that they say that they have, they've never even mentioned this person before, although some of them, I don't even want to say this troglodyte Banshee's name, but, suddenly she thinks that she was calling Richard Allen in 2020. It's not true, but maybe it's because they're so embarrassed because they are so convincing about what their beliefs are, and they take so many people along with them, and then, out of the blue, here's Richard Allen that they've never heard of. But now, so they will stand up for a schmuck like this, who more than likely is a schmuck. He is innocent until proven guilty. He's not acting like an innocent man that's in jail for something that he hasn't done, but, we have to wait and see. But they are railing for him. They are up in arms for him. Well, we did. He's being treated badly in prison, even though he's not safe in county jail. He is literally not safe in a small jail like Delphi County Jail. They don't have the resources to watch someone like that. It's just the bottom line. I don't want to know about your favorite rapper, okay? Kyrie LeBron, you can fuck off. So he can't go in Delphi County Jail, and he can't probably, he could go to Cass County Jail. They would have the resources. They don't want him. They don't want the hassle. but it's another jail that is a lot bigger than Carroll County. I don't know why people think that Ron Logan should be in Delphi, but suddenly, you know, everybody's concerned about his health. When the fact of the matter is at Westville, at least he can be kept safe in solitary confinement. They have enough staff where when he needs to be moved, they can move him. It's just crazy. Johnny says, this case is like Nancy Grace said, the devil is dancing and laughing with this case. I think each individual human being needs to accept the responsibility, accept, you know, their part in the chaos and the white noise surrounding some of these true crime cases. I think people don't realize that a lot of creators, they are creators. It's like they treat it like a job. Their job is to create something. And, you know, so there's one person that's moved on from Delphi and gone to Idaho 4 case, and she's doing exactly the same thing as she's done with Delphi and Abby and Libby's murders. Now she's just over there, and good fucking riddance to her, over stirring the pot for Idaho 4, because it's fodder for her. It's a resource, you know, and people just need to decide what they're going to buy into or not, what they're going to feed, what they're going to give credence to, and what they're going to give validation to, you know, and be a little bit more discerning maybe. And people make some really good videos, right? You know, we've got, look, you know, Fig Solves, he put out Hannah Shakespeare's video, and that video is problematic. But, you know, then he's gone ahead before even we get these documents unsealed, before we even know what Nick McClelland was meaning when he says, well, Richard Allen has confessed 5 or 6 times. I mean, that is just it's an incomplete statement, okay? And, of course, the prosecutor is going to leave it so incorrectly and incomplete, right? Because it serves him. But, you know, people are going on and putting that in videos, and, yeah, RA fits exactly with the profile of someone who would commit this type of crime. I also think he acted alone, says Swimming with the Sharks. Yeah. Think about, you know, all of the people that were in the vicinity of the bridge who looks like Richard Allen, okay, and who looks like Bridge Guy. Well, Bridge Guy looks like Richard Allen. Richard Allen looks like Bridge Guy. Bridge Guy does not look like Daniel Pearson. Bridge Guy does not look like Dan McCain. Bridge Guy does not look like David McCain. Bridge Guy doesn't look like, what's that dark-haired guy? There's a lot of people, right? And there were several men out there, several middle-aged or younger men or older, but you know what I mean, several men, let's say they were between 18 and their 60s, weren't they, out there on the trails that afternoon. None of them have the physicality of BG. Oh, except Richard Allen. And why can't people just wait and see? You can fuck off, Kyrie. I don't know what you're talking about. We don't want to talk about Roddy Rick and your snide comments about down below and bawling. You know, you get off on talking about sexual things. You think you're intimidating a woman on YouTube by talking like that? You can fuck off. You're a little wiener. Whomever you are, you could be anybody. I don't really care. So Yeah, it's just so frustrating. But, think about it, okay? There is a difference. I believe there is a difference between something coming into our zeitgeist and just discussing it, going, oh, do you think Ron Logan could have been up there on the bridge or be involved in any way? Well, there is this, there is that. Clearly Ron Logan is not bridge guy. It doesn't matter. We don't need to know anything beyond that. He's not bridge guy. We don't need to say any more. Sure, he could be involved somehow, but if you continue to say he's bridge guy, you just undermine everything else that you're ever going to say. His body type does not fit, whether you bring them proportionally into the same height or not. It's laughable. There's the channel, what are they calling themselves now? I don't know. I can never remember. Image detection or something. Who keep insisting. They keep trying to put Ron Logan's top half on Richard Allen's bottom half. Well, have a look at the image that they create when they amalgamate the two in that fashion. It looks like a third person because it's clearly neither of them when you do that. And for people that purport to have such observational skills, technical ability, etc., they're just showing themselves to be clowns with an agenda, and that's really what it is. And then okay, it's not Ron Logan on the bridge. It does look like Richard Allen on the bridge, and he says he was there. Okay, so did he abduct the girls? I don't know. We're going to hopefully see in court that video, and it might become more apparent that it is Richard Allen that asked the girls to go down the hill. Okay, maybe there is a secondary offender who says one of the words guys or something. That will come out in court. We will learn more. We don't know enough now. When you say this wasn't Richard Allen abducting them from the bridge, or you're sticking up for him so much because you suddenly think he's being hard done by. It's just shtick. It's shtick, so you can make a video every day, going live every day for 3 hours every day, Johnny says, I agree, Ron, it's not BG, but leaving mind open to anything. You'd even want to question Brian Koberger now. But that's the thing, people are getting up in people's faces about Brian Koberger now because that's just what they do to create their content, okay? And they're not privy. They pretend to be privy to things. They are very manipulative. They're very manipulative using audios and things like that, right? One guy, he's just started his channel on the back of these things because I noticed he had like 43 subscribers or something. He's going like, so what? So what if Brian Koberger is putting his rubbish in neighbors' trash cans? He goes, have you seen the size of those trash cans? His point being that the trash cans are so small, so it's just normal that Brian is up in the middle of the night wearing gloves, going through his trash, that is just preposterous. And then that what they are being, they are opportunistic trolls, right? They are taking a particular stance as a thing that they can't possibly believe in, something they know is ridiculous, but that, some low common denominators are going to think, they'll hear it and they'll go, oh, yeah, you're a genius, yeah. But anyway, so you have people making these very convincing films for years, talking about who they say is guilty, and not giving them the benefit of the doubt of innocent before guilty, but they're absolutely slaughtering and slandering them online, sometimes for years. But now to these same people, Richard Allen is innocent until proven guilty. It just makes a joke of the whole true crime genre here. It's just so out of control. People don't have boundaries. They don't have intellectual, mental, emotional, spiritual, social boundaries. So it's like they are bankrupt internally. Not everybody, but, some people believe it, but, there are some very warped people on here who, to some people, come across as really sane for some reason, and they're clearly not. But anyway, that's my rant. I shouldn't be so bitchy, but it's just take a breather, people, in good time, right? How about talking about what you do know, what's been said, and having some brevity, having some consistency, if you're listening to someone that is convinced or is trying to convince you that Ron Logan is the person on the bridge, then you need to question every single thing about them. Now, if someone wants to argue that Ron Logan could have had something to do with it, well, okay, you can say, I disagree, but sure, might be the case. What evidence are you citing? Because there's none in his search warrant. But if you want to discuss it or whatever, well, I guess you're talking ill of the dead, but you couldn't really say definitively that he doesn't have anything to do with Abby and Libby, even in a very, even in a very indirect way. Like, some people think he has, fuck off. Some people think he has come across the scene, maybe, and some of them actually say quite literally as well, which is when I just stopped watching certain people. You can argue strongly for lone wolf or for having an accomplice. How an accomplice works, I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely possible. Anything is possible, right? Personally, I think that Richard Allen was there with a burner phone. From what I understand, those the phone numbers that are in his arrest warrant, they depict what would be a burner phone. There'll be maybe no way that they can get data from anything from there, not after this number of years, I don't think. That should be suspicious to people. I agree that it is definitely confusing about the muddy bloody person, about how he's not seen on a camera, although there's ways to avoid it, and that would be to go and circumnavigate around Hoosier Harvest Store and also Mears, and that would come out opposite where the old CPS building, where it is supposed that he parked his car from 1:30 to 5. There are anomalies because we do have Doug Carter saying that they were looking for the driver of a car at CPS from 12 to 5. Did they just want to expand the window because they weren't sure when someone would have got in there? Were they taking a punt that there was a car there and that would be about the time that it was parked? There are a lot of bizarre things. There's plenty of things to debate and to question, right? There's a lot of strange stuff. I don't know if you can hear that fly buzzing. The man in black. You know, there's always been talk of the man in black. There was talk of a hitchhiker carrying a bag. Was that muddy bloody? Johnny says, yeah, there was a video I've seen how Keegan Klein was selling phones and laptops, iPads. So it's possible that's how they found Klein or Allen. I mean, look, there could be that connection between Klein and Allen simply because of catfishing devices, devices sold that are all set up with contacts on them with this fake, fuck off death, that these things can be connected, but not with the murders, if you know what I mean. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, there could be plenty of young girls. There were plenty of young girls. There's not just Libby and Abby that were probably catfished. And I believe that Abby probably had a profile as well and probably had been in contact with the same people that Libby had. And lots and lots of young, vulnerable girls in Carroll County. Lots of people in their friend group, because they all that's how it spreads from one girl to another. It's just through the friends groups and their connections. So one abuser is contacting all of them, befriending all of them, and a girl sees that someone's friends with someone else, so they think it's okay to friend them. And so they do. So lots of girls in Delphi would have been catfished, not just Libby. And there could be, many men in the area, because they're looking for people that are in the vicinity maybe, so that they do sometimes have the opportunity to maybe just watch them, possibly set up meetings eventually. Is it Snapchat or is it Yubo that when a young girl, and Libby was online from 10, 11 years old with these accounts. This is just unbelievable, right? I can't remember if it's Snapchat or Yellow, which is Yubo, but if a child is 10 or 11 years old, say, and they sign up, they have to put their birth date in, but no matter what their birth date is under 14, the app will make them 14 years old. But these predators know this, and they can tell by these girls' images or the young boys' images how old they are. And then they can, just look for people that are in their vicinity within a 15-mile radius. And it's quite frightening. And, Becky Patty said, well, all the girls were doing it, so I thought it was all right. She's basically saying, I wasn't parenting because I'm not, but I'm going to believe that other mothers they are parenting, even though I'm not. I mean, this is so illogical. If you're not, Becky Patty, if you are not being hands-on, if you are not monitoring, if you're not knowing what Kelsey and Libby, because trust me, Kelsey has been a victim just as much, I would believe, of catfishes. Why not? Of course she has. And they can be catfished, but it doesn't mean that they were lured to the bridge by anyone on a catfishing account. It can just be sheer out of the blue that Richard Allen was there, and he could have been viewing girls' profiles, been in contact with girls. We know nothing about him in that regard, right? We don't know that we can connect him to that. So there are people that are so convinced that they went there to meet someone, and it's all because of what, it's all because of what Keegan Klein has apparently said. It was said, a lot of it has come through murder sheets. I've got to stop saying because when people say that, like every third word from Kristen is and she's so unlistenable, and I've got to be aware of that. But sorry. So we don't know what's on Richard's phones, and we don't know what... I'll just leave you on there, Liz, because I'm happy to see what you have to say. You're just embarrassing yourself, whomever this is, right? You're just a mosquito, okay? You're a mosquito. Nothing you can say. My self-esteem, Liz, and whomever, what other sock accounts you're using today, my self-esteem doesn't come from anything that you say or think. It has no basis in anything to do with the external world. And that is kind of one of the joys of being really, really old. So, yeah. But, did he have his burner phone there, and was he using his burner phone because he did know where the girls were? Snapchat at that time didn't have Snapchat maps, so he couldn't trace them that way. But I don't know about the Yubo app, and, it's sad, but we have to assume that both girls were really vulnerable through their mobile devices, with the apps that they were on, with the people that they were accepting as friends, the communication that they were having. We do know for a fact that Libby was in contact with at least one catfishing account, and we have to assume that it's just so much worse than just one of the girls and one account. It just absolutely is, yeah. And Johnny, I tend to think that ever since Richard Allen, let's just say he is the murderer, okay? So let's just presume Richard Allen is the murderer. He has moved to Delphi in 2006. We know that he really likes the outdoors, right? It's something that he would do a lot with his wife, Kathy, is go walking on trails and things. And having the trail system, the towpaths of Delphi would be really appealing to Richard Allen. He would have gone all the way out west from Riley Park. He would have gone north up the Wabash Canal one, right through town. He would have used all of those trails many times out through to Monon Bridge, but probably all on the way to his house. You never know. Has he followed that creek down to his house? He could have even walked there on the day of the murders, but for some reason he's driven around. But I would say that he knows all that land like the back of his hand, and he probably has gone there many, many times. Many times. And he's probably, or the person. It doesn't even have to be Richard Allen, but this person has, picked out this spot as yeah, somewhere that he's fantasized about. And yeah, probably gone there many, many times. And if it's true that, at the time Kathy Allen was away, because was it her mother or brother that was sick at the time, who maybe subsequently has passed away? She's away. It's a Monday, it's a snow day. He knows young people are going to be out at the trails. He might assume that young people will be there. And how do you know I don't work on the stripper pole, Tiffany? I mean, if you've got it. So Monday, it's a snow day. Who's off work? I mean, children are out of school, but essentially most people are going to be going to work, and he probably thought there's a really big likelihood that teenagers are going to be out there, young people are going to be out there, and adults are not. So off he went. Kitted up, It's funny because people say, before Ron Logan knew that, before Ron Logan knew that the BG was captured on video, he appeared, in that exact uniform. And then they'll say, oh, well, maybe the jacket was a little bit different. I mean, yeah, the jacket was a little bit different because there's a huge logo on Ron Logan's jacket. Not only is his physicality so different, his bone structure, the way his flesh is on his bones, everything about his proportions is not the bridge guy. What was I saying about Ron Logan? Anyway, I nearly need to go. Johnny says, yeah, he might have been there many times. Maybe he's partied there. I don't think he was sort of out there partying, although it's probably true that he's gone walking along there, maybe from town after, when he's drunk, and just been out there observing people. We don't know. Yeah. I think what's just thrown a lot of creators for six is the fact that it is exactly really what the worst fear was, but it's the thing that most people weren't talking about, except, like being someone from town. I mean, unless they were the people that are saying there's 12, 15, 20 people from town involved. You've got the people saying that Sean Evans is the murderer and that entire police force, sheriff's office, are covering it up. And, but I think that's kind of throwing people a little bit. It's pulled the carpet out from underneath their feet because they've had every other theory, not just a theory, but they have said that this is what happened and I'm going to be proved right. And they have condemned people over and over again. They've shown their image. They have made really nasty shorts about them. They have made these videos where they are trying to convince their members so strongly about people, and now it's suddenly this guy that they've not even heard about, and yeah, there he was right under everyone's noses. Well, that's sadly, I mean, it fits. It's what everyone was afraid of. It's what we suspected. We just couldn't work out why they couldn't arrest someone. And what I've been saying is police work solves crimes. The plot work, doing the right thing, the procedural way right from the start solves crimes. Even if you can't nail someone straight away, what happens is you can go back and you've got everything there. And they didn't knock on the doors. They haven't gone to every male that fits even vaguely the age, Have they checked gun registries? What did they do? It seems like they just weren't doing these basics, and all they're doing is they were, I don't care about not being liked, okay? They need to know, you know, it's like, how did they not do those basic things? Because those things would have led straight to Richard Allen. And every single time they're appearing in public to talk about the case, they're just really pushing the fact that someone needs to call the tip line. And yeah, it's really, really crazy. Swimming with Sharks says he's not involved. Is this, yeah, Ron Logan? He's not involved, or he would have been charged long ago. He also didn't make a plea and get any charges dropped for confessing anything. One of these would have happened if he were involved. Of course. I mean, the FBI tried, didn't they? They tried, the FBI. So, I mean, people will make up anything about that, say it's just a farce, you know. Well, it's a farce. It's a, you know, they could have if they wanted to. I mean, look, if they wanted to set him up for it, they could have, and they didn't. If they wanted to find something on him, they could have, and they didn't. And they had years, and they didn't. Ron Logan has never been charged with anything to do with CSAM, with Abby and Libby, and it's just the bottom line. You know, they haven't found a connection. But the trouble is that, you know, human beings will come up, we can argue so many things anyway. We just need to pick something and we could argue it, right? Yeah. It must be exhausting for people that sit around making sock accounts. You know, these little cowards and fools who, you know, I only write under Humanimal channel name, and I make videos under this name in front of the camera, and these, you know, these little weasels who just want to annoy, they're like mosquitoes. And I mean, you're cowards, okay? And yeah, I'm 52 and I'm not ashamed of it. Why would I be? What's wrong with you, chicken lips? I mean, how exhausting to be making sock channels. I mean, that is just, it's like such a worthless pastime. Yeah, it's such a worthless pastime. And especially, you know, ad hominem attacks to say, you know, talking about someone's face or age, or yeah, it's just, yeah, so puerile and laughable. Anyway, so yeah, it's just like we need to wait and see, don't we? Because what are the documents going to be that are going to come out? So, you know, are they going to have very much information? I'm not really sure that they're going to be enlightening, or maybe, you know, if the judge has decided that they're not damaging to the case, but I'm curious to see them. And we just have to wait and see what happens, you know, if this does go to trial on January the 8th. We will see that Abby is in that bridge video, and except you can't pay VIP. We will see that Abby's in the video. So everybody that says that Abby was never at the bridge, well, she's in a video. She will be in that video. She will be visible with BG behind her, moving toward Libby, who is filming. Anyway, I'm not really having anything to say. I look great for 52, says Johnny. Yeah, oh no, I definitely look my age, Johnny. But there's nothing wrong with looking your age. Everybody just looks how they look, don't they? There's some real wowzers out there, and there's some real glamazons out there. And I'm just a very regular person. But yeah, thank you. This has been an hour. I've got to go. But thanks, Johnny. But yeah, if you see Betsy B around, please give us some condolences for her Michael, because it's probably been 10 days, a couple of weeks now, and that would have been just a God almighty shock to lose a partner like that, especially she said that she's lost her first partner in a similar way many years ago, and then had been married to her husband for 8 years, and yeah, he's just gone. So yeah, it's pretty sad. All right, that was a whole load of nothing, but just wanted to have a chat while I had an hour. So I'll see you later. See you, Johnny. You haven't been on your channel for a while, but anyone listening, Johnny R. Kramer music channel. He's a musician that will sometimes just sit and have these little chats where we'll just sit and play the blues, which is quite relaxing. He's a little bit more conspiratorial than I am, but when he's on other people's channels, it's always very respectful of with the ideas that he puts forward. Thanks. All right. Cheery bye.